The Nintendo Switch 2 has finally been released after a whole 8 years. Nintendo offers a lot with this new console, but not without its major catches to think about.
Hey guys, my name is Joseph, and I know you're not used to seeing me on here, but I'm filling in for Jason just to talk about Nintendo's next generation console, especially to see if Nintendo offers enough to warrant your purchase.
Looking at the console itself, you can see plenty of new changes on the surface level. Nintendo has increased the size of the screen, as well as just generally making everything bigger. The thickness, however, is generally the same as on the Switch 1, making for a pretty thin and light feeling console to hold. The screen has been massively upgraded to an 8-inch LCD display, which from experience is a huge step up from the Switch 1. While looking at examples like the Switch OLED, which offers a higher quality screen, the change to LCD may look like a straight downgrade. However, the Switch 2 has an HDR display, which produces better colors and brightness, especially noticeable when using the device outdoors. On the console, you can also see they added an extra USB-C port. This is used for accessories like the Switch 2 camera, as well as the ability to charge while the Switch 2 is using its kickstand. Speaking on the kickstand, Nintendo has also improved the design. The design feels sturdy, with very little risk of it falling over. Looking at the Joy-Cons, you can tell that this is something that Nintendo really focused on for this generation. First, the biggest change is how the Joy-Cons connect to the main display. Gone is the old rail system that, while effective, led much to be desired when it came to stability. The Switch 2 Joy-Cons magnetically attach to the system, giving a sturdy connection and a very satisfying click. The joysticks themselves have also been drastically improved, with them feeling much smoother and higher quality. Using the Joy-Cons feels much better when using them for extended periods of time, especially for those who have bigger hands. Another improvement being the new G, L, and GR buttons. These replace the frankly tiny and uncomfortable SL and SR buttons. These feel much better to press, having a much more satisfying click as well as having the general fact that they're larger. Playing Nintendo's launch title, Mario Kart World, using the Joy-Cons on the sides was surprisingly a comfortable experience even after hours of gameplay. What's really nice, however, is that Nintendo still allows you to sync your Switch 1 Joy-Cons, so you aren't locked to only using one pair if you haven't bought another. Nintendo has also included a C button on the right Joy-Con. This is for their new chat feature that Nintendo's been really pushing, but more on that later. The last function advertised on the Joy-Cons is the mouse functionality. Nintendo put optical sensors on the Joy-Cons that seamlessly transition from the regular Joy-Con mode to the mouse functionality. In the box are attachments to the Joy-Cons that help smooth the experience, and you can use these on like a desk or a table, but they also work on your lap. While currently we can only see the functionality of this mode in menus, Nintendo has revealed games like the upcoming Metroid Prime 4 that have the added option to use this mode. Internally, this is where the Switch 2 draws a fine line when being compared to its predecessor. The Switch 2 has a default internal storage capacity of 256 gigabytes, an 8 times increase from what we had on the Switch 1. While this may sound like enough, games like Split Fiction or the upcoming Call of Duty, which is likely to come out on the Switch 2, could have sizes of 100 gigs or possibly even higher. Maybe a little concerning for those all-digital people out there. Not only this, but old SD cards won't work on the system as it only uses express SD cards. When looking at Nintendo's first-party games, Nintendo luckily looks like they're keeping their first-party titles low when it comes to game storage sizes. This is a factor truly decided on what you guys are really looking for. If you guys are planning on primarily playing more first-party titles, the storage size may work for you. But if you're planning on playing more ambitious titles like Cyberpunk or Call of Duty digitally, I would keep this in mind. For processing power, Nintendo has teamed up with NVIDIA to create a custom chip for the GPU. This chip supports ray tracing and VRR, which ensures the highest quality and performance for the games that you're paying for. The Switch 2 also has faster storage, so looking at games like Smash or the new Breath of the Wild edition have great visuals and fast loading times. Looking at a comparison to the Switch 1, you can just see how fast the Switch 2 load times are. Software-wise, Nintendo has elected to keep visuals very similar to the Switch 1, with elements like the UI and menus looking near identical. In my opinion, this was a huge letdown. I was hoping for Nintendo to bring back some of the signature fun and personality back into the UI. They even added music in their startup menu when you start up the console for the first time. But then it just goes dead as soon as you get to the main page. Come on, Nintendo, you were so close on this one. One thing they did add, however, is a chat menu baked into the Switch UI. This is a feature that Nintendo's really been pushing here, which a feature that eerily looks like Discord. The real downside here is that in a year, Nintendo is only going to allow you to use this feature if you have a Switch Online account. That's right, Nintendo's essentially making you pay monthly to use a physical button. For those already planning on getting a Switch Online account, this won't be much of an issue, but for me, I can't help but feel that Nintendo went a little too far with aggressive pricing here. Looking at the peripherals included in the box, first is the Switch 2 dock. The dock has been updated in terms of design and functionality. While the dock features similar I/O to the Switch 1 dock, the dock includes a fan to help cool the system during gameplay. This produces a higher clock speed for dock mode, making games run better. But the overall dock doesn't feature anything too crazy when it comes to new features. Also included in the box, Nintendo included a 60-watt power supply, as well as, how they describe it, an ultra-high-speed HDMI cable. The Switch 2 is finally able to output at 4K and 60Hz, or 1080p at a whopping 120Hz. This is a very overdue update when looking at the Switch 1's mere 1080p at 60Hz output, small for even back in 2017. Everything included in the box, while in my opinion being the bare necessities, offers just enough for what you need to enjoy the experience. Overall, the build quality and the upgrades that Nintendo put into the Switch 2, in my opinion, warrant the price point that Nintendo is asking for. But the real question is the Nintendo Switch 2 worth it? Right now, it's a really tough answer to give. At the moment, Nintendo offers only one first-party title, being Mario Kart World, an extremely fun and innovative entry that, for some, may be worth grabbing the console for. In my opinion, however, I would just hold off until Nintendo can build on the library just a little more. With new titles like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which comes out later this summer, Nintendo looks to be dedicated with building a very diverse lineup of first-party titles in the future. But for now, I would say that Nintendo Switch 2 at the moment doesn't offer enough to warrant an immediate purchase. But what do you guys think? Is the Switch 2 worth it? How are you guys feeling about that crazy price hike to an $80 a game? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. I know this was a switch up from Jason's usual content, but if you guys are looking for more content like this, you guys can check out my channel. I cover more gaming style content. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one, guys.